Well, let's bring in the Commissioner for Information and Orientation in Niger State, Mr. Albert Nuhu. Mr. Nuhu, good morning and welcome to the program. Mr. Nuhu, good morning and welcome to the program.
Good morning, thank you.
Mr. Albert Nuhu is the Commissioner for Information and Orientation in Niger State. Let's begin with what we haven't heard. We've heard about the incident. You're going to help us walk back as well as to how it happened. But we haven't heard as to the number of persons that were abducted and who lost their lives in that whole process of capturing them. So is there any official figure as to the number of persons in the abductors den?
Yes, thank you. This particular incident happened last Friday. Abductions from people, worshippers in the mosque. And until Sunday, we couldn't give a statement from the state, but we did eventually. And that was because we had to verify some of these reports from the security agencies and some from our own information officers around those areas. But overall, right now as we speak, later this morning, we're going to have a security press briefing. We're inviting the actors involved, especially security agencies. We're inviting the media. We're going to address these issues so we can hear directly from the source. This is going to happen later this morning around the government house in Mina. But most importantly, about figures, when you talk about figures, it's not something you can easily fathom, especially when you have this occurring in the area of Borugu Kingdom, where you have the Kainji Lake Park, the National Park. It's a dense forest. And these people live in clusters. So when this thing happened, there's every reason that they will scamper for safety. Some have scampered even to neighboring Benin, some have scampered to neighboring towns. So it's even difficult for the security agencies to go and get these figures out. Not to talk of you coming out to just give figures. We can't speculate with this. It's no joke, and the state is not taking it for granted. So everything has to be verified before we come out here and tell you these are the figures. But I know later in the day, all these things will be together and it will be out there in the press.
Well, Commissioner, the bigger problem is the concern of insecurity in Niger State, which is, according to reports, fueled by illegal mining, and there's a big problem of banditry in the state. And the governor has had cause, to address issues of illegal mining in the life of this administration. But the bigger concern yet again is what the state government is doing to address this. The governor is the chief security officer, and I quote, a whopping 1.4 trillion naira budget 2025 signed into law by Governor Bago. And between January and August this year alone, the state government has received FAC allocation to the tune of about 144 billion naira. So why are there no significant results in intervention in the area of security in Niger State by the state government?
Thank you very much. When you bring out these figures, it seems so large and so, outrageous. But you see, what the state government is doing will shock you, will surprise you, because it's doing all it can to bring all this to a standstill. Unfortunately, you and I will agree that the security machinery is not directly in the hands of government. But I can assure you that the state government has deployed a lot in the area of security to aid the security agencies.
Can you please enumerate those measures for us? Well, we hope to get the commissioner back to find out those specific measures. Have there been provision of armored personnel carriers to the State Police Command in Niger State? Have there been provision of other equipment, vehicles that can aid timely response of the police to areas of concern? Those are the answers that we're hoping to get from the commissioner to understand if the governor, as the chief security officer, has been rising to the occasion, because time and again what we hear is what we'll seem to be hearing already from the commissioner, that the state governor is not the primary one in control as far as security is concerned. But if resources are at the disposal of the state governors, where are the tangible results in the areas of intervention? We hope that the Commissioner is back. Commissioner, are you back? I'm sure you've heard my line of thoughts, so please go ahead.
Yeah, you see, apart from personnel, the state government has churned out a number of armored vehicles, but huge sums of money to support the military. We've bought Hilux vans and the rest to support even the police. And a lot of other interventions have been made by the government in terms of supporting the security agencies. And maybe later in the day, you will hear directly from the Commissioner of Police, Niger State, see it himself. But that, as far as I'm concerned, have been taken care of by the state government. Unfortunately for Niger State, we happen to be a gateway between the north and the south. And in terms of landmass, you can agree with me that Niger State has one of the largest landmass in Nigeria. So rather than this working out in our good, it's turned out to be a challenge for us, because these bandits or these terrorists we're talking about happen to crisscross across Niger State, the river Niger, crossing into Borgu Kingdom and all that, because it's a dense forest. So a lot of these things have been taken advantage of by the bandits who find refuge in this forest. Left to us as Niger, as a government, we could just want to burn down the forest completely so we could avoid this. But unfortunately, it's a national issue.
Well, Honorable Commissioner, I mean, your governor prides himself as a farmer. In fact, he said we should call him Farmer Bago. So,
yes.
So it's interesting to hear you say that if you have your way, you will burn down all of the forests. So I wonder how you intend to, how your governor would farm. But I mean, I know you're asking us to wait until the events later today for us to get details, but we cannot help but to ask some of these questions. So right now we do not, because from the reports, as of 2 days ago, the Nigerian Tribune was reporting that about 43 persons, lost their lives in the process of that kidnap. Al Jazeera says at least, or the Reuters says at least 30 persons. So that's been interesting, because you're the Commissioner for Information. You should tell us, so we have an idea. But let me also ask you, who are those behind this particular kidnap now? Because it looks like nobody's yet to claim responsibility. Have they made any sort of contact with the government yet, demanding for ransom payment?
Well, no such has happened. We've not had any interactions with them, but the suspicion is the Lakurawas, they call themselves, and the Boko Haram. It happened in 3 different locations around that kingdom. And I want to believe that, talking about figures, anyone can churn out their figures, but as a state government, you cannot speculate figures. You have to be sure you gather evidences, you have gather good reports, and you cannot say this is an accurate number. But anyone out there can just speculate and give out their numbers. You are seeing at least or more or less. But the thing is, we can't go on that. We have to give you accurate figures. And I'm sure is it really even about the figures or about the loss of lives that we're concerned about? Whether it's 1 life or 2 lives, it's a life, and we're concerned about that. But I want to assure you that shouldn't be an issue, because I'm sure later in the day, all these figures will be made known to the public.
Yeah, we'll get to the figures. We'll allow you give us the figures at the end of the day. Everything is important, because everything has to be on the table. These are citizens, these are souls, as we like to call it. But talk to us about the government's efforts in the last 3 years to be able to secure, because the government cannot act surprised that of its own encumbrances, like you talk about, very massive land mass. I think maybe the biggest, maybe besides Borno, Niger should be, in terms of land mass, the largest in our country. So there are perhaps a lot of ungoverned spaces. So when the governor came into power, I'm sure he realized that what are the programs he put in place in terms of security initiative to see that things like this are minimal, because right now Niger State is becoming a breeding ground for one of the highest set of mass abductions in Nigeria, from Papri to this one. We don't know, so let's not speculate, as you said. Because when I look at your budget, for instance, the reason I'm asking is I would like to know the kind of funding processes for the police, the security agencies that the government is putting out, because your budget is so big, but I don't think when you look at combining Niger and FAC, the gap for deficit is very wide, if you understand what I'm saying, sir.
Yeah, unfortunately, you don't discuss security matters, especially where it has come with the funding as freely as you think I should. But the truth is, what the state government has done in the past 3 years will surprise you. And I want to say at this point that we have one of the best police commissioners in Nigeria, as far as Niger State is concerned, and even the PPRO, Mr. Abductors, they are doing very well. And they give you up to date of what's happening in the state. And, you know, we rely so much on that to get that. Now, when you talk about what the state government is doing, I've said this in just some minutes ago, about what the state government is doing as far as intervention is concerned in the security aspects of the state. But, you know, it's not something you can easily just, you know, bring out to the public purview. But I can assure you that everything and anything is done to make sure that this is brought back to a normal level. Let me give you an instance. His Excellency, the former Governor Mohammed Boru has been on leave, but he has to cut down his leave like 3 times to come back to address some of these issues. I think that tells you a lot about the kind of person he is. He's concerned about his people. He's concerned about the security situation in this state. And I can assure you everything is being done to make sure that this thing is brought down to the minimal level.
Well, Commissioner, there's a video, a viral video circulating online, which was released on Sunday. We have been very, very careful trying not to show our viewers that video. But can you confirm for us if indeed the video which has gone viral, where we understand that there were children there and, you know, crying and women and all of that, is that the video? Does that video tell the story of those who were indeed kidnapped?
Yes, I can't verify that because that's just a video that was shot by a group of bandits. But right now, we are trying to gather some of the survivors of this abduction to see if they could identify their people in that video before we can come out and tell you that really that video is authentic. But for now, we can't verify that video because anyone can go anywhere and shoot anything. It could be anywhere. So as far as we are concerned, we cannot authenticate that video.
Just a follow-up question briefly before I use to my colleagues. So, because I had to ask that question because there are reports that it looks like in Niger State, the administration of Farmer Bago is suppressing the media. This kidnap happened on Friday. It took the bandits on Sunday, perhaps allegedly, to release that video before Nigerians got to know what had happened. So it means there was no report, no account whatsoever between Friday and Sunday, 48 hours after that 600 worshippers had been kidnapped and at least 30 persons killed. How do you respond to allegations that the administration of Bago is suppressing the media?
I will vehemently disagree with you on that because, first of all, yes, we got calls by Saturday morning to verify the incident at Borugu. And it's not something you and I know. You're a journalist. You don't just wake up and then make an announcement to the state not before you verify what has really happened. We have to sit down. We have what we call the Niger State Security Information Situation Room, involving the police, the Homeland Security Commissioner, and myself, and some other people that are stakeholders in security, in the security sector. You know, so we had to sit down and get more reports so that we could come out with a statement. And that's what we did. By Sunday, we made a statement. So, but when you say that the state government is suppressing the media, come to Niger State. If you're in Mina, we have FM stations across the capital, and you hear all sorts of discussions on radio. People even cast aspersions on the governor. We haven't done anything. The highest thing we could do was to report to the NBC, the Nigerian Broadcasting Commission, which they have assured us they are taking a step. Because it's not for us to suppress any media. It's a free press. Anybody can say what they want to say. But, you know, sometimes some people don't even understand that there's a broadcasting code. But as a ministry, that's what we're doing right now, trying to enlighten the people, especially social media handlers, to understand that these things, they come with a law. They come with an abiding code, and people have to abide by that code. But the issue of suppressing anyone, that is a far reach, that's a far cry.
Well, we hope that that is really the case, because we can point to incidents, but we want to manage our time and look at security. And I did do a quick check, and I saw that the Niger State government has provided, just last month, 12 operational patrol vehicles to the State Police Command in the state. I haven't seen any provision of armored personnel carriers. The question then again is how, what is the capacity in terms of personnel of the State Police Command and the knowledge of the terrains where those bandits are operating in Niger State. Another matter which may be aiding insecurity is infrastructure, which I want you to speak to. What is the state of roads in Borgu local government in Niger State? And that's part of the conversation. The state of feeder roads, how well lit are these roads? We understand that there is a road that has been under construction since 2024. I'd like you to speak to this as well.
Yeah, when you talk about infrastructure, I think we should be giving us a thumbs up as far as infrastructure development is concerned in Niger State. When you talk about roads, we have more than 1,000 kilometers of roads that are currently under construction. You don't expect construction to just happen once. It takes time. Construction is not tea break. It's something that takes time, and then we have, for every local government in Niger State, some even have more. We have 5 kilometers of roads construction in every local government, which is ongoing, So for that axis you're talking about is something that has not stopped. I was in that area sometime last week, and as I was going back, construction was ongoing. So I want to assure you that we are not stopping. And that's why we're calling on Nigerians to be more patient with this government. We're 3 years in this administration, and we've not stopped. There's no time that construction has stopped, and it's going to continue. But, you have to give latitude of time, latitude of understanding for people to know that, yes, these things can be done, and we're not resting. We're on it.
Our Honorable Commissioner, I will keep tab with you. We hope that we can get all the details we want to get as journalists, as citizens, as to this abduction, because aside Papri, if this exceeds a number in terms of the persons that were abducted, then it's going to be the record number, and that doesn't say give a good scorecard of the government. Efforts are not enough. It is results we use to assess whether those efforts are good enough. So we wish the government well. So what we need is transparency and accountability. Obed Nuhu, Commissioner for Information and Orientation, Niger State. Thank you, sir, for coming on the program.
Thank you very much. Anytime.